Hey guys, video number 3 of the day, probably the final video. Um, earlier I was talking about, how I just wanted to share some of my struggles with you guys, and, how it's important that we don't have to hide things from one another. We should learn to just be real with one another and just, share in our, Jesus says that we should share in our sufferings and share in everything. And one thing that I struggle with, guys, is a lot of times, I was going to family functions and family dinners and things like that, and I had just reached a place where I just didn't want to go anymore. I feel like I can talk about this freely because none of my family watches my videos, and I'm not saying anything bad about them, but for a long time I did not want to go to any family functions. And I'm going to explain why. I just noticed that a lot of times, guys, family's supposed to love each other, like with a deep, intense kind of love. If there's anybody that you could count on, it should always be family. And the truth is, my family has come through time and time and time again, and I've learned that I can count on them. But a lot of times, we say things to one another that people say things to one another that are just completely uncalled for, that are hurtful, that are just, it's hard to explain. I know everybody knows exactly what I'm talking about, but I just noticed at these little dinners that there was a lot of negative talk going around. Just people just not only criticizing each other, and just Jesus says that He would know our hearts by the words that came out of our mouth. And so, guys, if we're criticizing each other and we just have to ask, how deep Jesus is really embedded in our hearts. There are times whenever, I'd be like, we'd have little functions at my grandpa's house, and, a lot of the young adults actually would just start picking on the kids until the kids would start crying. Just little nitpicky kind of, just picking on them and just trying to get a rise out of them. And often my son would just start crying and just getting upset, and it just upsets me that we feel that we have to me, this doesn't look like Jesus. It really doesn't. How can we say we know God whenever we're talking mean to one another? One thing that I noticed, guys, is that you ever just walk into a room and you just notice that nobody's really paying any attention to you. They're just kind of all buried in their cell phone, or nobody really embraces one another anymore. Nobody really cares. Or they care, but we're so caught up in ourselves. We're so caught up in the things we want. We're so caught up in worry. We're so caught up in fear. We're just caught up in a whirlwind of everything but Jesus. Because if we were totally wrapped up in Jesus, then we would love one another so deeply that we would just want to greet each other and wrap our arms around each other and tell each other how much we love them. And I struggle with this, guys, because I just struggle a lot with it. I went somewhere this morning and I kind of got an impression that, I went over to someone's house and I kind of got the impression that they were angry, and I kind of took it personally. I have the tendency to take things very personally, and a lot of times it just, Satan has already planted a seed in my mind that a lot of times that people don't care, and that, it's a seed that Satan planted. It's there. And the thing is, guys, is if I sit and focus on that, if I focus on the negative, then it just literally just brings me down to a level where. But guys, one thing that Jesus has shown me is that, I always think of the verse whenever I start feeling down, overcome every evil with good. It's a verse that has helped me so many times. And whenever I feel like people are negative or back talking or just being really rude and unappreciative, and it doesn't matter. You overcome it by continuing to shine the light. You just keep going. You keep going. Jesus says those who endure to the end will be saved. And there's a lot to endure in this life. There is backbiting, there is negativity, there is talking bad about people, there's so much, I just keep thinking of the fruits of the Spirit, guys, and the fruits of the flesh. The fruits of the Spirit are patience, love, gentleness, kindness, long-suffering, generosity. And the fruits of the flesh are angry outbursts. The fruits of the flesh are jealousy, rivalries, immorality, hatred, greed, things like that. And guys, whenever I see people talking bad about one another, I just see a work of the flesh. And Jesus tells us who's going to inherit the kingdom. He's going to say that the people that are walking in the fruits of the Spirit inherit the kingdom of God. But those that are, creating dissension and stirring up strife, these people aren't going to inherit heaven. So guys, it's so important that we just look at our life and just see. We can use that as a test to see where we are. And guys, today I just had to get on my knees and just seek God, because, I found myself wanting to get angry and just we never repay evil for evil, no matter what anyone does to us. It doesn't matter. Jesus never said repay evil for evil. Because guys, whenever we repay evil for evil, then the whole world just looks like darkness. The whole world looks like darkness. But the mark of a Christian is someone who can overcome every evil with good. And I have a lot of praying to do, guys. I have a lot more seeking. Because some days I struggle with this. Some days, I have a tendency to want to bite back whenever someone bites me. I have a tendency to want to just be mean back. But we can't. We can't do that. We are called to operate in the light. We are called to be the light. And the light, Jesus is the light. And, if you think about it, people were spitting on his face and people were lashing him, and he still loved them. He still loved them. And so if we're going to be Christ-like, then we have to love like that. Jesus says he gave us a new commandment, to love one another as he has loved us. We can't do that in our own human capacity. Only Jesus can give us that kind of love. It only comes supernaturally from the Father. Only he can do that. Because it's hard. It's really hard. There was a time in my marriage even whenever I struggled so much. Things weren't going very good at one point. Whenever me and my husband got married, neither one of us was serving God. Neither one of us. And he was doing things to me, and not doing things to me, but he was just doing things that were just not good. You know what I'm saying? He just wasn't doing good things. And I came to a place where I started walking down that path where I was like, I'm getting even on this guy, So I started heading in that direction. And Jesus literally stopped me. And he said, no, you're not going to do that. You're not going to go in a direction of darkness because someone is doing wrong to you. You're not going to do that. And so I went through a phase where I actually separated from my husband. And every time I would pray, I'd get down on my knees and pray, I would feel a supernatural love for my husband. Like Jesus was saying, blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. And I just felt like Jesus was having me to be kind to him, even though I didn't want to. And, you know, guys, we struggled for years and like a couple years. My husband and I struggled. But finally, I just came to a place where I just had to forget everything from the past. I had to forget it. Because, guys, true love forgets. True love forgets everything. And true love sees a person the way that Jesus sees a person. And now, you know, we get along fine. You know, I finally learned to let go of the past, and there's peace now. There's a lot more peace. And don't get me wrong, things aren't perfect, but I find that the more I remain in Christ, you know, things just, they come together. I'll never forget, guys. I need to make a separate post about this, but one day, you know, I was going through a struggle of being, whenever I was going through a struggle of being really angry. One day I looked at my husband and I saw him the way that Jesus saw him. And I saw him, he looked like I saw him in my spirit, the way that he would look if he were in heaven. And he looked really, like he looked about 10 years younger, and he was laughing. He just had his head thrown back in this beautiful laughter. And it was then that I just wanted to cry. I just wanted to just cry, because I thought, Jesus was showing me what this man who really hurt me, you know, what he would look like in heaven. And Jesus kept pushing me to be kind and to show mercy, even though I didn't want to. And the closer I would get to Jesus, the more I was able to love someone who hurt me. And guys, I think I need to make a separate video about that, but it's just so important, guys, that we just are able to love, that we just seek Jesus. And I can't even remember what this video was supposed to be about. It's probably just me rambling, but anyhow, guys, I hope you guys have a good day. Seek Jesus and find the love that you need for the people that are hard to love. Because we never overcome evil for evil. We only overcome evil with good. The world has enough evil in it. The world doesn't need you getting vengeance and doing whatever. Alright, bye.